Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra, which is an extended segment of Good Morning Uganda. Now we started all the way at 6:30, but right now we get into a conversation that I believe all stakeholders, be it women and men, should be interested in. Uganda as a country is grappling with cases of domestic violence, gender-based violence, and police just last year reported over 17,000 cases of gender-based violence. We've also had conversations around women being battered, but also a growing trend of men being battered. If you look at cases that are being reported in districts like Bushenyi, where men are reporting being battered by their intimate partners. So here it opens room for conversation. What are the main triggers for domestic violence, and how can we curb the same? Because if we are looking at 17,000 cases, then that is quite something that is huge, where we don't only need to talk, but we also need to find solutions to the same. Now, I'll be having this conversation with SSP Jackson Muchunguzi, who is the Senior Officer at Department of Child and Family Protection Police Headquarters in Naguru. And I will also be speaking to Ms. Shadia Namanda, who is the Program Officer at Women Pro Bono Initiative. Together, we are going to demystify what gender-based violence means and also the myths surrounding it, but also the facts. That's why I have these two professionals to help us understand what gender-based violence means. And I think that's where we are going to start. I will go to you, SSP Jackson Muchunguzi. First of all, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Olivia. Good morning, Ugandans, wherever you are. Warm greetings from the Inspector General of Police and the Director who is in charge of community policing, and particularly the Commissioner in charge of Child and Family Protection, and lastly from my own dear family.
Your own dear family.
Yes.
Lovely. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning, Shadia.
Good morning, Olivia. Thank you for having me, and Afande. Yes, thank you for having us. I hope by the end of this show, we shall have been able to put the message out there to help people understand what gender-based violence is and what we can do about it.
All right. And I'm Olive Monica Najoma, your host. Now, Afande, to begin with, help us understand what the Family Protection Unit stands for. What is its mandate?
Good. Child and Family Protection Unit Department is there to ensure that family, as it goes by name, is safe. When a family is not stable, the country cannot develop. And therefore, Uganda Police Force is consenting and putting its own efforts to a family unit. Our family unit, we ensure that we fight for the rights of children. We ensure that we are there for spouses, as you were explaining, both women, men, and men. There is a misconception that it is for women only. No. Even these days we are receiving women, men, and I'm actually in charge of the desk that deals with men who are being battered, tortured, violated in their homes. We do ensure that we fight for rights of children. We liaise with other government entities that aim towards having peace at home. We investigate cases of love, cases of feelings. And when they get out of hand, we deal with CID. However, we have things we don't do. For example, we don't separate couples. There are couples that come at police headquarters and Child and Family Protection that we want to stop it from here. When you were getting married, you didn't come to police, so don't expect it to end at police. We don't give custody of children. That is a role of family court. But some people come and they say, police, help me, I go and get my children. You must have a court order. We don't separate, we don't divide property. There are some couples who come and say, Afande, we must divide property. That's not our duty. You must have a court order to do the needful. Of late, Olivia, now, Some Ugandans, they come and say, you help me, I fight my co-wife. That is not our duty. That you arrest the man is going to marry on Saturday, release him on Monday. No, we don't do that. But we ensure there is peace in family. We encourage, we are like preachers, we encourage love and harmony.
So you go by what God has put together, or what the law of Uganda has put together. No man
should separate.
Okay. Now, Ms. Shadia, you come from Women Pro Bono Initiative. Before we get into our conversation, help our viewer understand what Women Pro Bono Initiative does.
So the Women's Pro Bono Initiative is a non-profit organization that was established mainly to help women, and one of the things we do is we provide legal aid services to women and girls in Uganda, those who cannot afford the legal services. You know, lawyers are quite expensive, I must say.
Yes.
So, and yet there are so many women who are finding it difficult to access justice due to the high levels of poverty. So the Women's Pro Bono Initiative, we provide legal aid services, and the other thing we do is we carry out research that helps to create awareness about women's rights.
Okay, now that we have an understanding of what our guests do and how they are important to this conversation, first of all, let's have a look at what gender-based violence means. And in this context, it means any harmful act against a person's will based on their gender, and this can include physical violence such as battering, kicking, burning, or slapping. But also we have psychological or emotional violence, which can include verbal abuse, threats, intimidation, or deprivation of liberty. But there is sexual violence as well, which might include rape, sexual harassment. Then there is economic violence, which many people don't believe exists, but it does. And this includes denial of property rights or cutting off economic support. Then there is harmful practices such as child marriage or female genital mutilation. So when we talk about gender-based violence, it has so many facets, and that's why a conversation of this nature is very important. But now coming to you, Afande, who are the most vulnerable groups affected by gender-based violence in Uganda?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, this issue of gender-based violence is an act that has no any advantage in it, and therefore whoever is practicing it, you are doing something that is harmful, that is not welcoming, that is barbaric, that is so illegal, and therefore it's high time you should first repent about that same thing. So mostly, you know, it is women. I would think that women take the lead in being the victim of this gender-based violence, because to me, as Muchungu's out of experience, I've realized that this gender-based violence is caused by 3 factors. One of it is the culture. There is a way culture has empowered a man, that a man cannot be asked where you are coming from, where you are, and he's the king of his own jungle. If you see the animal farm,
the Lion
and
King.
And over time they have misused that issue. If the president of Uganda is asked where you are, who are you, young man in a country that you cannot be asked where you are? If Obama and his dear wife, you see they are always consulting each other. So who are you that you do not do this? So this culture is so historical from mankind up to where we are today. Then secondly, misinterpretation of religion. That a woman should be submissive to a man. But you man, you should also give love to get that submission.
The Bible says men, you should love your wives as Christ
love your wife as
church.
you love the Christ. But you don't give love and you expect the submission. So you are being offside. It is give and take, but not a one way. Then finally, money. Money has caused the problem. When people they behave in the hands of a fool is a curse. So if you get money to go and be an agent of gender-based violence, then there is a problem. So if we control those 2-3 factors, to me, we can be much better. In the long run, when women suffer this gender-based violence, then the next category are children. Because you see, mothers and fathers automatically parenting is a two-way. Parents are the first heroes of these children. True. And the moment the two are offside because of earthly things, then they end up becoming the victims. Of late, it has come to my attention and police attention that men are being beaten, men are tortured. Some women are dealing with children, especially in old age, and they are making men suffer. But they normally make them suffer simply because they have been absent in their useful days. So when they come in the evening after retirement, they have nowhere to start from. So the gender-based violence affects both women, men.
Types of gender-based violence that are more
violence, where there is a... Do you know that most people... The woman here, I don't know.
The woman is also
there are some women who are also sexually active. So sexual violence is very common. Then we have physical. Some cultures. Violence is very terrible. Today, there are those local songs they create, and they make a man look a woman in a home. So psychological violence is okay, council can add from there, but police will voice against the issues of gender-based violence.
All right, and it goes without saying that both genders and also children are affected. I remember sharing a report earlier on where it shows that about 3,700 children are affected by gender-based violence. That male. Shadia, from initiative, elaborate on the report, you have seen in the communities that you work with. You talk to women mostly. What do they raise?
So I'm going to share my experience recently.
Yes.
I don't know if you know it.
Unfortunately,
the Busoga region has been one of the regions that have been highlighted as having many cases of gender-based violence, teenage pregnancies, child marriages. So working on and are providing legal aid. Many of them were actually experiencing. I don't know if it's the culture or it's the misinterpretation of the cultural principles, but for them, they thought that it's
if he doesn't beat you, he doesn't love you.
He does not love you. So, many women shared their experiences, and the outstanding was the fact that they think it's normal for their husbands to beat them. Then the other issues that cause most gender-based violence is the property rights. Most of these do not even know that they can actually own land. You understand? So from the stories that I got, when let's say that their father died and he left property, but then the male and the other relatives,
Yes.
as long as they were male. So they took off everything and they told them that Goli Muwala.
And so
Exactly.
now those that are married, what's the story when it comes to property rights?
It's the same. Now those that are married, properties, like the property is owned by the man, not the woman. Everything that the man holds is holding. Not
She's married.
exactly.
Oh my God.
Which is very unfortunate, and unfortunately many of these got married at quite an early age, and they happen to have shares their experience with you that okay, so I'm married to this man.
Cohabitation for 15 years,
But for
you have
them,
children.
which will bring me to another point when we are looking at what should be done.
Okay. Now, Afande here did mention something about marital rape. And it's reported that many married people don't know that they're being raped.
Yes.
In your research and the women that you have talked to, do they report this to be prevalent in them?
Most of know the rights that are guaranteed, their rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution. You are my wife, I can do anything I want with you. And considering that these women do not know anything, let's say they hear it from one of the legal aid clinics, because there are many. I'm glad that civil society is actually taking the lead in creating awareness. So this is when they get that, oh, okay, my husband cannot touch me without consent, regardless of the fact that we are married. So there are quite many cases. And then the other thing, the other manifestation of GBV in our current era is the online GBV.
Tell us more about that.
Yes, so you see, the digital space has become predominant in this era.
Yes.
You know, everything you want to promote your business, you take onto X, Instagram, Facebook, you know, TikTok, everything.
Yes.
So we've had quite many cases of revenge porn. I don't know if you know it.
Oh, what Ugandans call nudes.
Nudes
leaked.
Yes,
Okay.
nudes leaked. So I can share my nudes with my partner. That shouldn't be a crime. I mean, we are partners. This is like an act of intimacy. And this person is going to share them or leak them. Whereas some people usually rebut the leaking of the nudes, and they say that, oh no, this lady posted this. Yes, I'm glad you know. So they say that, no, this lady actually leaked their own nudes for clout chasing. But I don't agree with such a mindset. You understand?
Yes.
So we've had many videos, some of whom we know the persons. Their nudes are leaked, sex videos, you know, a lot going on. And of course we have people shaming them that, oh, how can this person do this? I don't know if you've interacted with such comments, such hurtful,
There is
hateful
always the
comments.
issue of victim blaming.
Exactly.
When this happens.
Exactly. So it's always on the woman. Like, why did she even record these things? I mean, it's not like I'm a prophet that I was going to know that, oh, maybe later things are going to go bad and you will leak this. No. I'm living in the moment. I'm enjoying my time with my partner.
Okay.
But then they always put the blame on the women that, why did she do this? How did you even start recording yourself? So we have a lot of online, beyond the revenge porn. Just someone posting their picture, it could be dressed. Comments that imply some kind of sexual things, like, oh, if I
Sexual innuendo.
Exactly. So we have a lot of that going on, and it has had such a negative impact on many people. Many people cannot post something freely because they think that, oh, what are people going to comment? What if I get all these hateful comments? So,
but then talking about online abuse, maybe sexual and whatnot, are the abusers mainly men, or even women are included in this?
Both women and men.
Both women and men.
You see, whereas we are looking at the 16 days of activism.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we did not get to do an introduction about that day. So just to take you back, the 16 days of activism, they start on 25th November and they end on 10th December. And they are celebrated, or it's a campaign that is celebrated annually. So needless to say that GBV is experienced by both men and women. Though this campaign was mainly started to end GBV against women. So while we are campaigning against GBV, does not mean that we are forgetting the men or we are disregarding the fact that it happens to men too. So, but then also that does not mean that women are always the victims. Sometimes they are on the other end, like fellow women.
Fellow women.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I would like to go back to Afande. Afande, we have 17,000 cases of GBV that were reported last year. Are these numbers an accurate reflection of the situation, or there could be some underreporting?
Yes, thank you very much for that. That is the last year crime statistics report that was released by CID. It is a reflection of actually a small percentage of those who come up to discuss these matters or report them at police. But the majority of Ugandans don't report. As council was telling you, there are some who have just normalized the abnormalities. You find that somebody is addicted to gender-based violence and it is normal. When most men came to know that I'm deployed at Child and Family Protection, I've got very many forums where I discuss with men, and I was asking them, why do you rape your own wives? Some have even gone ahead to rape their own daughters, which is very regrettable. And I was impressed by one of the senior citizens who told me that, Muchungus, do you know that for us men, we normally eat old food, adult food, that is sex. We normally one for pressure and another one for sexual acts. They can mount anything as long as it is female. That is having sex for pressure. They want to just release and go away. That's why you find that a mad person, a mad woman is impregnated by a very VIP person. It means that they had sex for pressure. And then those who normally go for pleasure, those are the people who go and enjoy intimacy, they get the consent. And we call upon men, go for pleasure, do not be taken by pressure. So this one now takes us on reporting and statistics.
Yes.
It is horrible. It is horrible that family is being threatened, and the moment we erode and do away with family, the basic unit of society, then there is a problem. Every criminal in police and courts of law has a home. So we need to, as government, to ensure that we strengthen family. We understand what could be the problem. Poor communication causes gender-based violence. You don't want to communicate where you are, where you are.
You've mentioned that a couple of times. Is that quite a big issue among couples?
Adults who agree to meet and form a family. The sole purpose of marriage and family formation is happiness. And the moment you lack happiness at home, then you are in war zone. Therefore, one way to overcome that issue of gender-based violence is to communicate. You at UBC, there are very many things at UBC. police at UBC, canteen at UBC. Can you be specific? I'm at UBC in a TV studio, not a radio studio.
Do you have to?
Tend things to details.
Yes.
That's when you become so effective.
Okay.
Most men and I think some women, it is very bad to tell your spouse that I've gone to Mbarara, an accident happens in Mabera and you are there. Even when you are dead, your body will be ashamed. So it is good to be effective.
Okay. Now, Afande, there seems to be a rise in the cases of GBV. Have contributed to this rise?
Yeah. The three of them, but I would think the other day they said that Butabeka beds are full and the place is getting more clients every day. I don't undermine the point of mental illness. You find that people are doing abnormal things. So mental illness could be so serious. The last census showed us that the population is fixed. So overpopulation could be another problem where you find that people are fighting for factors of production, land. People are fighting for land. Council has told you some people think that they have no right to own land, which is regrettable, because these factors of production enable us to enjoy family. This one cannot undermine the issue of poverty. Yes, I normally have two sides on poverty, because we have people who are poor but enjoying marriage. Hey, they are there enjoying. Then we have rich people who are killing each other.
True.
That it causes gender-based violence, but I would think mistrust and suspicion, as it caused the Second World War in 1914, is also coming here. Suspicion and mistrust is going to cause the Third World War through marriage. A wife is competing with a husband. Do you know that we have couples who compete? Yes,
that's true. Like one person is earning good money, let's say the wife, and the husband is not pleased. He's like, if you want to stay in this marriage, then you have to quit that job.
Some society formed up settings like Senteze Chikazi. The Bank of Uganda is very clear.
His money
it is Bank of Uganda, not Senteze Chikazi. There is no that legal tender in Uganda. Bring that money, accountability issues.
Women say his money is our money. That actually come in with cases where they feel overwhelmed by family responsibility and their wives are not helping.
Yes. So my not participate legally. By the way, for us in the law, parenting is 50-50%.
True.
Hey,
yes.
If a woman pays some part of school fees, that child is not written anywhere that she will not perform better. If a woman also contributes towards, for example, paying Yaka, the right will not turn into red. So we call upon that couples should work together, don't compete, ensure that every day in whatever you are doing is aiming towards having peace at home. And the moment you do that, gender-based violence will go down. We are overwhelmed as police, as NGOs, as government, over your personal negligence. It is high time, me and you and whoever is seeing us, of gender-based violence, so that we can do much better.
All right, switch on the lights so that we can do away with the darkness of gender. Fande has put that, because I believe it's cake. It shouldn't have a place in modern day society. In the get a drum. But Shadia, coming back to you, it does show expectations are a huge factor when it comes to the contributors of gender-based violence. Now, from the legal perspective, how effective are Uganda's existing laws and policies in addressing GBV?
Well, it would be great to say that we've tried on which is attributing to our year's theme on the 16 days of activism
against gender-based
yes.
violence.
So when we were adopting it, that was the year 1995. The same year we also had our constitution promulgated. So, and the constitution does protect women's rights, you know. We have equal protection of the right to own property, employment rights, freedom from discrimination, equality between both men and women. Then we also have laws like the Domestic Violence Act. We've had the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act. We've also had the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons Act. And I think one of the, I want to call it the best, is the Succession Amendment Act, which did away with many provisions that barred the women's right to property. So, so to a larger extent, we have progressed as a country. Though recently we're having setbacks, I'm going to make reference to the bills that are being tabled.
Yes.
The Sexual Offences Bill and the Marriage Bill. So you would think our legislators are trying to protect women or the interested parties. But some of these provisions are actually very absurd.
Like which ones?
I'm not going to point out to any, but when you look at the Sexual Offences Bill, you know, recently there was a debate between the MP that tabled the bill. That is
Sarah Pendry?
Yes. No, the Sexual Offences Bill.
Oh,
she's,
yes.
I don't want to forget the name.
That honorable.
Yes, the
from
honorable.
Northern Uganda.
Yes, and another honorable gentleman whose name I've forgotten. And they were debating about what amounts to a sexual organ.
Oh yeah, it is from Tororo, Fox Odoi.
No, Fox Odoi.
I saw him
Jonathan Odur.
Odur.
Yes. So they were debating about what amounts to a sexual organ. You see, if we're having different, if our legislators are having different views on what amounts to a sexual organ, and yet with the evolving times, we have many, we have different cases that would amount to sexual violence or even rape. So one of the parties says that no, a sexual organ should be limited to the vagina. Unfortunately, I'm going to say it as it is, to the vagina and the penis. So, and then the reasoning they give is that trying to widen the definition would mean that we are providing or creating provision for homosexuality.
Yes.
But now we have cases of where men have been raped.
Yes.
Boys, we have such cases. So if our legislators cannot even see that these cases are actually happening, and yet in their bid to try and correct the law or to try and progress in the laws, they're still being blinded by the archaic definition of what a sexual organ means, then as a country, I think we are starting to go backwards.
So you feel like the work that has already been done is being now taken back or ripped off because of this new kind of thinking, or the archaic. It's not even new, it's archaic.
It's archaic because they are, I want to use the word, they are living in denial. I've heard of them, but because they are blinded by their hatred of homosexuality, they refuse to adopt to what is currently happening.
Okay. And what we are looking for here are solutions to end gender-based violence in terms of sexual, physical, economic, to mention but a few. You can join the conversation. You can send in questions. You can even call us through WhatsApp number 0709602592. You can also send a direct message. Please do not call it through WhatsApp. You must make a direct call in case you're making a call. But we would like to hear your views regarding the challenge, which is is gender-based violence. Currently, Uganda, plus the rest of the world, is marking the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence against women and girls. But on this conversation, we are trying to widen it and have a conversation regarding the entire gender-based violence against all the genders, male and female, because reports indicate that men in different parts of the country are also now being affected by gender-based violence. You've seen on the news, I believe, cases where women have cut off their partner's sexual organs because of maybe infidelity, or women have stabbed their husbands because of maybe still infidelity. There is a lot of intimate partner violence, but also we have cases of sexual harassment in places of work. We should not go without saying that. We have sexual harassment cases in places of learning, like universities, secondary schools, and even primary schools. You've seen cases of teachers, head teachers molesting, raping their students. So this is broad. How do we curb it? And I would still like to that you have made so far.
So as the Women's Pro Bono Initiative, we've been advocating for male engagement. And in this advocacy, we are trying to bring men on board. You know, it wouldn't make sense to try and fight for the women's right, advocate for equality, when we are not bringing the men on board. Because I suppose to help society reduce such cases, if advocacy for male engagement, we create awareness among the men. You know, some of the things that Afande mentioned was the money issue as being the biggest perpetrator for GBV. Yes. But you see, money here is a double-edged sword, you know? He said that when someone has too much money, they feel they own the world, it's their kingdom, they can do anything. But yet again, we need to note, I think from speaking from experience, men derive their power. Some men, I don't know about most men, I'm going to say some men. So some men derive their power from having money. So when he does not have money, he feels
deflated.
Naturally, men derive power from having authority, from being able to take care of things and fix things.
And that happens when you have money.
True. The game goes back to money.
To money, yes.
So when you don't have money,
like how I normally. You can.
Song that I'm going to quote in Uganda, it was a song by Bobby Wine, where one of the verses he says, "Nga toyina sente nemako oba towera."
Kituufu.
So some men have that mentality. So he will go back home, no money, the day has been rough, and then we have the wife probably maybe asking that, "Oh, where have you been?" Goes back to the communication thing. I mean, as a wife, I'm entitled to know.
There is also a song in that regard. I forget the artist. It's a Kadongo Kamuse song where the wife is saying Mukene Gwolese, she had sent him for Nile patch and he brought silverfish.
Yes.
So this man, because and Afande did talk about how women communicate. The songs they play. So you be there. The day has refused and she's here cutting collar ya taxi.
So in such instances, when there is no money, you know, the first thing is about maybe rent, children have to go back to school. So in a mean to assert their power, their authority, they are going to resort to violence.
To remind you who is the man.
Exactly.
Do you know me?
Now, Afande, you had something to supplement on that.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about the economic violence and it is said that when you empower a woman and a girl, you break the silence and the ceiling that is killing the girl child. And I agree that it is high time that men will accept our women to work. Because you see, tears of a rich woman dry faster than this one who has no money. A woman with some money can cry, and there is even the way they cry, they do like this. Like you see Olivia has some money, she cries like this. But a poor woman can cry in uppercase. So
like someone died.
As if somebody has died. So let us empower our wives to work, have some money, because some things that cause even domestic violence can be fixed by when somebody has some money. So economic empowerment is very paramount. Transparency is very paramount. I'm an advocate that when people marry, even their bank accounts should marry.
That's right.
And I normally get criticism. They say, hey, who you man, what are you saying? Eh? But it is the best way. When somebody knows how much you earn, she will reduce the demands. You know that I earn 1 million Ugandan shilling. Why do you tell me hairstyle of 2 million Ugandan shilling? Unless you are pushing me to go and have armed robbery. Eh? But if you want me to remain an escort or people, professional police officer, reduce on demands. But when you don't announce, the other woman will think that you have a lot of money. And also, in the long run, she will keep demanding.
Also, Afande, there is the issue women normally raise. They say that men will oftentimes complain about the lack of funds, but then they're quick to start other families. If you decide to start another family, it means you're fluid enough to support this family, my needs, and that family, and their needs. So that brings me to the next question. Owing to the facts that have been mentioned here, what has the police, the Uganda Police Force in itself, what measures has it put in place to or implemented to curb gender-based violence?
Wonderful. Actually, that one makes me now remove Kofira. Dear fellow men, as long as you are not a pornography star, kindly you will not finish these women. Do what you can. Get one arc of fire. Okay? Target. Concentrate on that one. After all, may I have an ideology and belief that they are all similar. When you add value to that one, we had already discussed that a man normally gets or goes for sex for 2 reasons. Both during pressure and pressure. You can get it from one arc of fire. However, these women should also is problematic to the progress of the man. You can marry, there are some men who are unfortunate. You marry a woman who is nagging, who can abuse you from morning up to evening, and this one can also cause a man to go away.
That is emotional violence.
Emotional violence.
Yes.
You find that a woman who turns herself into a detective asks questions from morning up to evening. When you make a man not have peace of mind at home, he will go in sauna, he will go in football, they will go there with boys come at 3 a.m. Kindly make your men kings at home. When they do that, then things can do much better. 2 adults must put some measures of how to stay together. Like I normally use my example. When I was going to marry my dear wife 12 years back down the road, we had to sit down and write down a vision. What are we working towards? The country has a vision, institutions have visions, individuals working there, they have no vision. You must write down your mission. Do you have the core values that guide you as a couple? Or you thank God when a day has just closed? So as police, we are continuing to do awareness. I'm glad for this program. We have shared a lot. Council discussed very pertinent issue. Our host, you have discussed very great matters that affect the couples. So the more we speak, the better. The Bible is very clear. I normally use the Bible because I'm a grandson of canon and a church person. And therefore we mean that. When you read in Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 6 to 7, it is a duty of the parents to create the temperature and warmth at home. Therefore, do not be agents of fighting. If you are feeling that you have enough energy, we encourage you to go and sign with Gorora. You fight the boxers. The government of Uganda stopped even cattle keepers to stop beating cows. So if you are sending on your spouse and you beat, you know that you have no space in heaven and you are irreplaceable. You are lost in this world.
Engages with victims and communities?
Yes. First of all, we liaise with other stakeholders like NGOs that fight for their rights, like women now who suffer. Shadia's NGO helps us to fight for their legal services at free services. We deal with the CID. Then we have victims of who are children. We normally have shelter. Many NGOs have helped us, jails, to construct for us shelter. When they come, we help them. Then we take these children that had filed raped to hospital for medical services. Then we even help by arresting the monsters.
But then you release them after.
No.
Sometimes victims claim, this is a claim I think Shadia you've heard of, and Afand I'm sure you've heard of it, where victims say, never get like police, they don't help. When you go to the police, they send you back.
Exactly.
And there is also a report of connivance between police officers and the perpetrators.
Yes.
And we also blame them because whenever we arrest the perpetrators, the same victims come to bargain. That you see, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, or the other side, they are on my neck, have come to withdraw the case. So those who come to do bargaining, they are also failing justice. Justice has a lot of windows that cause its miscarriage. And yes, of course, I agree. Police cannot hold you for days. We need people to come and write statements, defend them. Others, I like the Shadia, the way she calls, you know, our issues of family and sexual-based violence. They are determined by the way somebody calls the act. Some people, some cultures, they change the scenes of crime names. This is a vagina, you are calling it a wild animal. The RSA will chase away the case. It's high time we start. I know some cultures, they say, hey, haram, haro, the law overrides culture. It's high time we tell our children what is kore
Spade a
spade.
Well, thank you, Afande. Shadia, coming back to, yes, you want to supplement on that?
Yes, before we go in further, Afande has said that sometimes it's the complainants that go to police to withdraw.
Yes.
And he says that they come up with excuses of my mother-in-law this. But you see, sometimes we've been privileged. You know, we don't know what's happening in the remote areas of Uganda.
That's right.
So these are people, they leave their families, get married, and you know how the conservative kind of marriage is. It's like when you get married, you now belong to your husband's family.
That's right.
So now the husband's family is everything. So this is a woman. First of all, most of them do not even work. So this is a woman who probably stays with the in-laws, and definitely there is no way they are going to subject that kind of pressure on you and you do not give in to it.
That's right.
So they are forced to go and withdraw their cases or their complaints. But then again, it takes a lot for some of these women to actually come out and report such cases. You see, we still have a problem of men not coming out to report their cases, but then we also have a problem of most women not being able to come out to report their cases.
The Afande said the 17,000 cases reported last year are just a fraction of what really happens in the communities.
Exactly. So we've had cases where someone tells that, oh, my husband does this and this, but in case I report him, first of all, he has influence over the policemen.
Money.
Then also, the second thing is, where will I go? Like, the whole of her lifetime, the only thing she has known is her husband and where she's staying. She does not have any property of her own. She does not have where to start in case she ever leaves this man.
He's the breadwinner.
Exactly. So she's relying on him entirely.
So as the Women's Initiative, Pro Bono Initiative, going back to the recommendations or how you help these women, how do you do it? How do you encourage them?
So when we go to the fields, you know, to provide legal aid and everything, we usually talk to them. We create awareness. Remember I told you that some of them don't even that their rights are being violated. So just that is enough for the mind to be triggered that, oh, okay, my husband or my partner has been doing this. You know, we have many cases of intimate partner violence.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this conversation we've tended to center around GBV in marriages, intimate partner violence, but of course we take recognizance of the fact that we also have violence in our employment places.
Yes.
But then we have many cases of intimate partner violence. So the women usually come to you, they talk to you, and usually let them know that, oh, okay, first of all, you need, you let them know of their rights, because they are living with, I don't know how, but most of the times the men are always matter. They always know these things. I don't know how. So the woman, the only thing she knows is her family, taking care of them, and then when things, you know, get hard, she's beaten, her land was taken by the husband, then they usually fool them. I don't know if sometimes it's too much love. You know, sometimes when we're in love, we do the most. You buy land, she contributes to the property, the land is registered in the man's name. So just letting them know about their rights, that as a woman, you can own property, you do not have to get beaten, you do not have to have sex if you do not want. So that's something that triggers their mind. You know, we are trying to change minds, a mindset
change and empowerment.
And empowerment, yes.
Yes. Now, briefly as we close, tell us about some of the activities the Women's Pro Bono Initiative is doing to mark the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence.
Well, we've been having such shows, TV shows and radio talk shows. Then we have engagements with religious leaders in our male engagement programs. Yeah, we've been having engagements with religious leaders. You know, people listen to religious leaders a lot and cultural leaders. We've seen scenarios where people are doing unimaginable things because the pastor said so.
Yes.
Yeah. So people listen a lot to their religious leaders, so we've been having these conversations with them. And also we need to note that the religious leaders collect a very, very huge congregation.
And they are opinion leaders.
Exactly. So what he says, they will just take it in.
That's right.
So we are trying to also change their mindsets, plus the cultural leaders. We need to get rid of that toxic masculinity. You know that, oh, a man, Afande said that treat your man as a king. But how should I treat you as a king if you're not treating me as a queen?
Because actually kings respect queens.
Exactly, it's a two-way street.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we also working on creating awareness. We've had spaces. You know, we are in a digital era, so yes. We've had spaces discussing some of these issues. We're hosting. Then also the other thing that we do, like I mentioned, is we carry out research. So we have quite a number of publications which are on our website, analyzing some of these laws, for example, the marriage bill, the sexual offences bill. In case anyone needs to access them, they're on our website. So
you can tell us about the website.
You just have to Google Women's Pro Bono Initiative and everything will be brought to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shadia and Afande. Afande, I know you still have a lot to share. And I think within the 16 days of activism, as they are still ongoing, the best thing for us to do is to have you back and Shadia, because there is a lot to unpack. There is the children, there is sexual harassment in places of work and places of education. But unfortunately, our time has run out.
We have a police line.
Yes,
for
please
free.
share the police line.
Yes, police has put a free contact which you can call and they help you with gender-based violence. And this is 0800 199 195. Again, 0800 199 195. We also have one of Sauti for 116. The best gift that you can give your children is having a happy family. Create a legacy that you will be remembered for. You will be a good citizen.
So don't be a citizen that turns your family members into a ball. If you want to kick a ball, you might as well join the Premier League.
Amen.
And also go touch some grass.
Well, I've been having this conversation with Shadia Namanda, who is the program officer at Women Pro Bono Initiative. They are located in Ntinda, and ASP Jackson Muchunguzi, who is the senior officer at Department of Child and Family Protection at the police headquarters in Naguru. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. Thank you, Afande. Thank you, Council Shadia. It's been a pleasure having this conversation.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you for hosting us.
Yes, and you're still watching UBC, but Good Morning Uganda Extra ends right about now. We'll see you tomorrow at 6:30.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. This December, the border transforms into a hub of innovation, culture and opportunity. It's the Border Breakers Innovation Festival 2024.
Happening from 12th to 15th December at the Busia Border Primary Grounds. And our chief guest, we're honored to welcome the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, Minister of East African Community Affairs. Together, we'll